What is your favorite product? One of the most common product manager interview questions is, tell me about a product you like, tell me about a product you admire, or what is your favorite product and why? To answer this properly, the candidate should explain why they like the product from a product manager's perspective. What's your favorite product and why is a common question asked during PM interviews at top tech companies. Interviewers ask this question to assess your understanding of product design, your ability to deliver constructive criticism, and your knowledge of a specific product. First, one of your tasks as a PM is to help design new product features and improve the existing ones. So, you will need to be able to explain what differentiates an excellent product from its competitors. At the same time, interviewers will therefore want to see that you can provide clear and constructive feedback when answering the question. Finally, PMs often must make important design decisions with little time and at times lacking data. So a good PM knows the product they own inside out, which helps to make better choices in these difficult scenarios. Therefore, certain companies will expect you to have a solid understanding of their products from your first day as an employee. Also, as an important note, do understand the reasoning behind the popularity of your favorite product question in a PM interview. It's one of those questions that can take form of a product improvement question, like how would you improve it, or a product design question, like design feature X for your favorite product, or an estimation question, like a particular stat is falling for your product. As a PM, what will you do? Or even a technical question like, okay, explain how feature X is implemented for your favorite product. Since the interviewer has so much room to maneuver, it's one of the most commonly asked PM interview question. Hence, if we are going to go through an interview loop with any organization out there, we can fully expect this question in one of the interview rounds. Hence, with utmost respect to the interview, we can walk into our PM interviews with full preparation for this particular question. With that in mind, today, let's take a different approach. Let's first jump into a mock interview scenario. By the way, a quick note. Occasionally throughout the video, we'll break character, providing essential information to PM aspirants that is good to know when you go into your interview. These are things that we learned from experience and that we feel will make you better prepared. To share these with you, what we have in the video is a small call out on the top left hand corner like this. Of course, post the mock interview, we'll reflect on how to make sure you are fully prepared for a question like this in our PM interview. With that said, let's get started.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How have you been?
I am doing great as well. So what I have done is, I have planned today's interview structure in a way that, we start with a brief intro and then, we will straight away jump into the interview. Towards the end, I will leave a few minutes for you, in case you have any questions. Sounds okay?
Perfect.
Alright, so I will go first. Hi, my name is... Perfect. So I wanted to discuss about a product of your choice that you admire. Basically, tell me about your favorite product.
Alright, sure. So I'm supposed to talk about a product that I admire? Okay, I have a question here. When you say product, what do you mean? Basically, are you thinking specifically a hardware product or a software product or a feature within those, etc.?
For our discussion, let's take a software product.
Does it need to be a Facebook product?
No, it need not to be a Facebook product.
Alright. More often than not, people answer this question in binary format as, okay, my favorite product is XYZ, or maybe let's say it's WhatsApp, or it's iPhone, it's Alexa, whatever. And that's it. And they are out of the competition almost immediately because that's not what the interviewer wants to hear from you. This PM interview question is testing to see if you understand that products are designed to help users accomplish something that they desire to do. The interviewer is also trying to determine whether you can articulate what makes a product better than the alternatives in the eyes of the user. The way to answer this question is as any other product design or product sense question. The interviewer is more interested in understanding How do you think about products in general? And then talk about your favorite product. Specifically, you want to focus on who are the users and how good are you able to identify with the users. Then talk about why is this product your favorite product from a billion competing products out there. Lastly, the interviewer wants to hear what pain points is the product solving for you, what pain points it is solving for other user segments, etc. If you keep this in mind, you're already ahead of the competition. With that, let's head back to the interview. Alrighty, just give me a few minutes to jot down my thoughts here.
Sure, take your time.
Perfect. So let me articulate my approach here. First, I'll explain what the product does at a very high level and its business objective. Second, I'll outline the target users and their problems. And finally, I'll explain how the product solves these problems better than the competition and why that makes it my favorite product. Does this sound okay, or do you want me to cover something else as well?
This sounds perfect. Go ahead.
Alright, so for me, the definition of a good product means three different things. Usefulness, is it solving a key pain area? Efficiency, is it solving an issue quicker with less effort from users? And innovation, is it making the user smarter? With that, let me give you the story of an industry that was completely revolutionized by my favorite product. The year was 2009 and two Silicon Valley ex-founders were in Paris to attend a conference on a wintry evening. This was the day before the conference. They went out for a few drinks and now they wanted to return to their hotel. However, they were just unable to find a cab, which led to a beautiful idea in their heads. So Steve Jobs has just announced the iPhone a year back. The cell phone revolution is truly picking up. And Travis and Garrett, they came up with a simple solution. Can I get a cab by just using my cell phone? This was the genesis of Uber, the ride-sharing, ride-hailing application that has truly revolutionized the cab industry as we know it. Today, Uber has expanded into multiple avenues like Uber Eats, but I want to focus on the ride-sharing, ride-hailing feature. Now, before I explain why it's my favorite product, let's quickly review how Uber works. So Uber has two main types of users. They are riders who wants to commute from one place to the other, and drivers who are literally leveraging Uber as a way to procure sales, and thereby Uber becomes a revenue source for them. So overall, how the ecosystem works today is such that more number of times the riders is using the application for their overall commute or travel, the more money drivers make, and in turn the more revenue Uber generates. Now again, I tend to use Uber mostly as a rider to get cabs to commute. So let me explain more about the product from that particular perspective. So I'll try to tie back to my three pillars here. In terms of usefulness, when I say that Uber has revolutionized the transit more than any other public agencies have, I don't mean that they have a greater market share. I mean that their use of technology, crowdsourcing and innovation, it dwarfs any public sector transit advancement. At the same time, Uber is extremely efficient. I can be anywhere in the world and I can have a cab at my doorstep without any hassle. Of course, in terms of innovation, I don't think it has any match. It's absolutely amazing. You can be literally anywhere in the world. You open the application, it'll know your location, you enter the destination, you request a ride, you're immediately picked up by a driver. The driver who's going to use the built-in navigation service, they deliver you via the shortest, least traffic route, and after the ride, you can rate each other. The payment is completely handled electronically. It's just a smart, intelligent application built using both the user personas in mind and making sure both of them have very much an ease of use there. So yes, Uber is my favorite application as it's super useful, it's damn efficient, and is extremely innovative. Now, this is a clear showing of you coming fully prepared in the interview. Nobody is asking you to have such a dramatic, detailed backstory of a product. In fact, nobody is expecting it either. As mentioned earlier, the interview is your chance to separate yourself from the competition. We know we will be asked the favorite product question, and it's mind-boggling to know how many people do not spend time preparing the answer beforehand. Research about your product, spend 15 minutes on the internet, have a backstory, have a relatable incident, and mind my words, the interviewer will go back from all of this thinking that he has learned something, and you would have already gotten in a brownie point.
Alright. So, I have a follow-up question on the same. You gave a good input on why Uber is your favorite app. What I want to talk about now is the competition. What do you think Uber is doing better than the competition, let's say, Lyft?
Alright. Now, most of us, we approach problems like a test. We try to get to the perfect answer as quickly as possible. It's easy to forget that the best explorations are a dialogue, not a monologue in an interview setting. You want to spend a bit of time talking about your favorite product's competition because it shows that you have done your research into alternatives, that you understand the competitive landscape, which is something you will definitely have to do as a PM. You'd be surprised how many candidates can't list a single competitor to a product that they like. Additionally, outlining the competitive landscape allows your interviewer to understand how you think about the pros and cons of certain features, as well as provide an opinion on why your favorite product is the best out of all of the available options. Let's jump back to the interview to see how you will approach the next part, which is on competition. So in terms of comparison between Uber and Lyft, let me start by looking at both Uber and Lyft in terms of the factors that determines a particular rider's ride fare. The first one is your location. Do you live in a large city or a metropolitan area? Second one is distance. Where are you traveling to? How far is it from your place of origin? The third one is around traffic. Are you located in or traveling to a high traffic area? And the fourth one is around how much tip are you planning to tip for the driver. Now both apps are user friendly and functional. Now Uber's application, it appears to be more sleeker and more modern, but then the idea is that's very personal to me. Again, it depends from person to person. In Uber, you get to see when your driver will arrive at your pickup location and you give them a rating after the trip. There is not much difference in the overall UI of both the application except for the fare estimate and the interface. So in terms of competition, I think the most striking difference between the two is the sheer number of drivers. Uber has 3 times as many drivers as Lyft. At the same time, Lyft does not let you see the arrival time before booking, while Uber does. One more feature which I can think of, which is of vital importance and which every competitor along with Lyft lacks right now, is around accessibility friendly cars. So Uber has this feature in some cities. At the same time, Uber allows pool sharing where users can walk to some place to get a cab and then walk a little at their destination for much lower prices. Uber also has a fare sharing feature which Lyft lacks. Lastly, one more feature of differentiation is services like Uber Black, which costs much more than the regular Uber rides or regular Lyft rides, so drivers will see more money in their pockets driving for the higher end services. Now again, this in no way means Uber is better in every way possible. 2 points where Lyft provides better functionality are: 1, Lyft has a subscription feature for frequent riders, and second, it provides rental cars on its application as well.
Makes sense. Let us keep on building up on the same. Now imagine, you are a PM at Uber. What do you think are some areas of improvement for Uber?
Okay, sure. Let me actually go ahead and jot down some thoughts here. So I'll start again with some clarification questions. When we say improve, do we mean engagement, revenue, market share? What do you think we should focus on?
Sure, what do you think?
Okay, let me start by thinking about this from the funnel analogy here. So a product funnel will look like this. So basically we'll acquisition, activation, engagement, retention, revenue, and referral. Now in my opinion, Uber is a market leader in the ride sharing segment, so I can focus on these later stages. You know what? Let's focus on revenue. Is that okay? Or do you want me to look at something else here?
Sure.
Perfect. By giving the analogy of the funnel, the aspirant is showing that he understands how the product market works. The Pirate Metrics framework works in a very simple way. Each stage it represents a general number. Acquisition represents how many people are discovering our product or our company. Activation represents are these people actually taking the actions we want them to take. Engagement represents how many users actually order a cab. Retention represents are our activated users continuing to engage with the product. Revenue represents are our personas willing to pay for this product, and referral represents how can you turn users into advocates for your product. Now, for newer products, focus should be more on these initial stages around acquisition, activation, and engagement. You want users to start getting to know your product and use it. For established products, on the other hand, the focus can be on the lower half of the funnel. While this is true in a general interview setting, in reality, when you are working as a PM, you would want the numbers from your data scientist before making a decision. With that, let's get back to the interview. Alright, next I have a question around, okay, do you have a particular geographic location in mind?
For now, let's focus on the United States.
Perfect. Next, what is the time period we are focusing on to improve revenue here?
Let's say you have the goal to increase revenue in 1 year.
Alright, another one, as we discussed, Uber has two different sets of riders, their drivers and their riders. Do you want me to focus on a particular user persona here?
Let's focus on both the user personas.
Perfect. Alright, so just to make sure I got all the points correctly, let me reiterate our goal here. So our goal here is to increase revenue for Uber's cab service for the US region within the next 1 year. Perfect? Alright. Now put simply, the way by which Uber can improve or increase revenue are as follows. First, they can increase the overall cost or the prices. Second, they can enter new geographic locations. Third, they can increase usage of existing users on the application or the platform. Fourth, they can increase the number of users on the platform. Or fifth, they can actually enter new businesses or markets. Or sixth, they can launch or offer new products or services. Now let's explain each one of the above mentioned strategic choices in detail. So increasing cost, in my opinion, it's not the best way to go about increasing revenue, as even though yes, increase in price directly relates to revenue growth. However, in my opinion, it can lead to people backing off or reducing their usage on the platform, as users might look for other cheap alternatives. So in my opinion, this solution is out. Now entering new geographic locations, now launching into new locations where this product or its competition are not being used will give a first mover's advantage. However, in my opinion, again, Uber today is present in most of the tier 1 cities, it's expanding in tier 2 cities, and considering we only have a year, we can negate this solution as well. The third one is around increased usage for existing users. Now this can be done in a lot of ways. From the top of my mind, I can think of, okay, we can provide regular riders with promo or discount coupon codes for their next rides. Or we can provide a free food delivery option through Uber Eats for these regular riders as well. Or maybe we can provide a similar, a Lyft-like model of subscription-based service for the regular commuters. One thing to keep in mind, if I'm a PM of Uber, I need to make sure that the money or the revenue gain due to increase in usage should be greater than the loss incurred due to discounts or low prices offered on rides. But overall, I think this is a pretty decent option. Let's actually think about, let's keep this in our view for the upcoming discussion, and yeah, let's move forward. For increasing the number of users on our platform, we can do this by one, launching new products or services. Again, this ties back to our point number 6 of our discussion here. We can even think about launching an hyper-local grocery delivery service using the delivery partners Uber already has to address, let's say, users' grocery needs. Or maybe we can think about performing household-related work like laundry, washing, picking up groceries, dropping kids to school, etc. We can launch, so basically for these two, we can launch the product or service in sort of an iterative manner. We can first launch these products and services in places where there is maximum usage and thus the highest chance and opportunity of feature penetration. However, at the same time, we need to continuously A/B test the feature and keep rolling it out. Now, in my opinion, this will definitely result in increase in demand for driver partners in Uber. Thus, a situation might arise that there are not enough driver partners to carry out this particular task, or maybe they are overburdened with work which might cause frustration among them and leading to a bad experience for the drivers. Another way to increase the users on the platform can be around targeting a new user segment. For example, elderly people can have a specially designed cabs, or maybe a better way to order cabs, a more convenient way for them as well. Now, targeting new user segment means we'll have to personalize and make the features more related or catering to the target audience. Now, this might require large amount of implementation effort, and it's definitely possible that the user adoption for this is low. Again, we also have to look at, are we willing to make modifications into the car, or is it only the ride hailing experience of the Uber app here. Now, for these last two, entering new markets, again, I don't think it's possible in a year's time, hence we'll sort of drop this solution. So let's drill down into our overall evaluation criteria. Let's actually have a decent discussion here. So at a broad and high level, I feel our aim or our next step should be aligned with the company's goal and mission. The evaluation criteria that we'll choose for this problem should be around the overall implementation effort required, the impact to end users, the overall UX change, and the cost. Now, again, for point number one, yes, that's a very decent option, but the idea is we have to make sure that overall the increase in usage should be greater than the loss incurred due to discounts or low prices offered on rides. Now, the second option where we actually want to sort of inculcate Uber Eats and the Uber ride option or the ride hailing cab hailing option. Now this will have very less UX change. It will not require that much level of implementation effort as well. At the same time, it can have a huge impact on end users and can have a positive impact on them to increase their usage of the app as well, which can in turn directly lead to increase in revenue. Hence, this is a very decent option. Now, the other one is around how can we increase the number of users on the platform itself. Now, launching new products or services, again, this is a very high opportunity size. It might have a huge impact on the end users as well, but at the same time, implementing this end to end in 1 year, or even the amount of cost and effort to implement this can be very high. So looking at those two options, we can sort of negate this one. Now, entering new geographical locations, again, as we thought about it, 1 year is a very short period of time, hence I don't think we should be considering this particular solution. The last one around, hey, if we can target a new user segment. Now, in my opinion, this is a solution which is very high impact, very low cost, it has low to medium implementation effort and low UX change. Thus, based on all of the above discussions, I think we can think about two different pieces. The first one around how we can bundle the features of Uber Eats and Uber app together so that users can have a free food delivery experience or maybe a household experience. But the idea is users can see more usage, and this is more or less focused on existing users. At the same time, we can look at how we can target a new user segment by providing them with features which make the app more convenient for them to use. We have to look at data for these two to understand which one of them will have a better impact. Maybe let's do an ABC test here. But the whole idea is let's look at these two. And again, this is how I'll actually approach the problem of how can I think about improving Uber.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Know that your favorite product is one question that can take any shape. I still remember when I was interviewing for Google and I gave Uber as my favorite product answer, and the interview took a tangential turn into a technical question where I was asked to design the price search algorithm. Hence, always be prepared for any follow-up on your favorite product question, like how can you improve your favorite product, or how will you implement a product feature, etc. Now we are almost done here. Remember, through this process, don't just blindly keep rambling if your interviewer looks bored or if he or she looks like they want to talk about something else. If your interviewer is still engaged, the last part of your answer is a great way to segue into the next part of the conversation. next part of the conversation. You can always take the last part of the answer in a different direction and mention that, okay, you have taken some time to think about the product strategy for the short and the long term. Either way, your interviewer will love the drive that you have taken and will most likely want to hear more. This way, you can launch the interview in a direction that you have already spent a lot of time thinking about, which will only impress your interviewer. With that in mind, remember to always be prepared with at least 4 products: a physical non tech product, a B2B product, a B2C product, which can be an app or a website, a product of the company that you are interviewing for. While it's generally suggested that we should not name a product which is a market leader or very mature in its product life cycle, we have generally found that it can be at times very helpful to name a market leader as long as you can take care of the larger discussion on the same. Remember, the interview is your place to shine, and you can differentiate yourself by 1. Driving the conversation entirely, and 2. Coming up fully prepared for your interview. By doing your research and following this process, you will be in good shape for answering these types of favorite product questions and easily distinguish yourself as a top PM candidate. With that said, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next one.